DPW crews are getting ready for the winter. A project to protect town records moves forward. And we chat with Police Chief Paul McDonald on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Tuesday, December 22nd, 2015. I'm Sarah Mantle. The Department of Public Works is counting on 2 snow fighters to help speed up snow removal this winter. Assistant Director Rob Steen says the department bought the 2 snow fighters used to save money.
We were able to find used Oshkoshes, which are trucks that are built strictly for snow. That's what these things do. They've got twice as much horsepower as any of our 6-wheelers do, and frankly more horsepower than a 10-wheeler does. They're built for airports, and they basically remove snow from airports, and that's where we're getting them off of the airport. So these are trucks that we are getting that are normally a $270,000 truck, but in our case, because we're getting them used, it's a 1994, 1997. They only have 10 to 40,000 miles on them, depending on the truck you looked at, because they were on airports. No rust, because airports don't use salt, because airplanes don't agree with salt. So we're able to get those for on the order of $70,000 to $80,000 per truck.
Steen says the snow fighters will be able to battle even large-scale snowstorms like we saw last year. Town Clerk Ann Quirk is working to preserve town birth, marriage, and death records. The $33,000 project would place records in a Mylar protective coating. Quirk showed the Community Preservation Committee a book of records already preserved during its meeting this week.
I showed you a book that was falling apart and how the edges of the pages just begin to deteriorate just because they're exposed to air. And those older books, it happens every day. I mean, we can't even touch them anymore. This is one that's been encapsulated in the Mylar. So it's protecting it from further disintegration. But if you could see these, you can see how there's stains. I'm going to have you pass it around. There's stain, yeah, because it's all, I don't have a problem with those because it's in Mylar. You can see how there's stains on the pages and the stuff, the ink bled through, and they really have done a great job preserving it. But this is all the old stuff, how it was done. And on top of that, they're doing a CD for us. And the CD is going to be put up by General Code onto our Laserfiche. So in the bigger picture of things, this is going to make people doing their genealogy be able to come into the office, and we'll eventually have a computer on the counter so they can do their own genealogy right there, which will be a huge savings of time and money for the town. Huge, because normally someone has to sit with them for hours on end.
And the Community Preservation Committee voted to approve the $33,000 project. That will now go before Town Council for final approval. The Barnstable Police Department is reminding residents to protect themselves this holiday season. To find out more, Barnstable This Morning host Sarah Colvin talked with Police Chief Paul McDonald.
We had several Beanie motor vehicles along Route 132 corridor, and that's kind of the area that we have been targeting. About 2:30 in the morning, a couple of cruisers were in the area of Bursar's Way and Route 132. They saw 2 females acting suspiciously. When they saw the cruiser approaching them, they ran back to their vehicle and tried to flee the area, and they were subsequently stopped. When they interviewed the 2 females and they looked in their car, they found a whole cache of what appeared to be stolen property from several different vehicles in the area, from the motel and from the neighboring condominium unit. In the course of the investigation, they were able to identify at least 7 vehicles that were broken into. A lot of the gifts had been removed and stolen. But there still is we still have a whole bunch of stolen items that we have not been able to identify. So we do expect that number to increase dramatically. But so far, the two, one One, Santa Croft, age 18, and the other was a 17-year-old juvenile. They've both been charged with 7 counts of Beanie motor vehicle, but we do expect that to increase to probably around 12 or 14 to Beanie motor vehicles.
Absolutely, and of course, again, it's so important to remind everyone that if you're running around doing some last-minute holiday shopping, I don't know anybody who's doing that, but really, if you're going from store to store, if you're parking your car, I think it's so easy to forget to lock the car, to hide stuff in the trunk,
right.
and really, this is the time of year when you need to be vigilant about that.
Right, and we checked these cars. Most of the cars, I mean, the items were there. You clearly see them through the windows, and most of the cars were unlocked. So basically, these individuals, it's not uncommon. They will walk through these condominium complexes. They will walk through hotels. They will walk through the malls, and they're just checking doors. When they get to a car where the door opens, they go in, they take whatever they can. So you have to take these added extra precautions. If you have anything of value, secure them, lock them in the trunk, and then make sure the vehicle itself is locked.
Absolutely. Chief, let's talk a little bit about Anthony Russ. Is this little Ant or big Ant that we're talking about?
This is little Ant.
Okay.
And unfortunately, he was found guilty of a lesser charge, and he was sentenced to 1 year, and he's been in jail for 1 year, so they deemed time served, so he's out. We arrested Anthony Russ numerous times. He still has 2 major cases pending. I believe there's a pretrial conference coming up next month or in February for another charge of possession of Class B with intent to distribute. This guy has got like 9 lives. And we arrest him so many times. He gets found guilty, time served, and this incredibly dangerous individual has already been charged once for murder, but because someone got up and testified and perjured himself, he was found not guilty. And basically the same thing happened again in this charge. He was with a female, and during the trial, the female got up and testified that the drugs in the car was his, even though he was seen ripping the bags open and tossing them out the window of the vehicle. The judge chose to believe what the female said, and he was just found guilty on the lesser charge of just mere possession and sentenced him to 1 year. But he's an incredibly dangerous individual, and he is always on our radar.
Indeed. So, Chief, how much of a concern is it for you in the department that he is out in the public and out of jail right now?
He's out on bail. He's out on significant bail because he still has 2 major Superior Court cases pending, so he's kind of like on probation. But right now, we know where he is, and we know he's not living in town right now, but we monitor him very, very closely. That's part of the job that the street crime unit is tasked for. So any time a known criminal like that comes back into town, their job is to be right on top of them.
Absolutely. Chief, let's talk a little bit about the vigil last night on the Village Green. Of course, the solstice, the longest night of the year, and that is the time in which, the community remembers the homeless people that have been lost in the past year.
This was the 10th annual one. I was there. A couple of other police officers were there from the Community Impact Unit. We were there at Town Green, and then we went with them over to the Federated Church. And as you saw in the paper today, there were 33 individuals who passed away on Cape Cod who at one time had been homeless on Cape Cod. And I thought that was quite a lot. And as I was standing in the back of Federated Church, I started reading the names. And I've been here in town as a police officer for 35 years, and I probably recognize at least half of the names, that they read out last night. So it was kind of like a sad occasion, but it's very eye-opening too. We have a significant problem here in the Cape with the homeless, and we have to do a better job in dealing with them.
Absolutely, and making sure that there is places for them to get care, and for those that the chronic homeless and the ones that are living out in the woods, certainly I think those are the most at risk for exposure, especially this time of year. And again, that's why you work with the DPW and the Sheriff's Department to clean up some of those camps, as you did last week.
Right, we took down 6 camps. Last Thursday, we met with everybody who was staying in the camps. We got them to the social services, or we got them into the shelters, so they're all set. They're in good hands. But probably one of the biggest thing, the most positive thing going is there's a group of people getting together, as you know, to move the shelter. And the idea of moving the shelter is not only better for our hands, but it's also going to provide a much, much better service for the clients who visit NOAA, because all those services are going to be incorporated right into the newer shelter. So, and that's what they need. These individuals, somebody really has to take care of these individuals.
Absolutely. Chief, anything else of note over the week, and anything that your department is doing as we head towards the big holiday this weekend, and then, of course, New Year's Eve the week after that?
Right. No, we'll get ready. Christmas holidays should be relatively quiet next weekend, and we'll pick up, obviously, New Year's. We'll have extra patrols out, traffic units out there for impaired driving.
And you can hear from Police Chief Paul McDonald every Tuesday on Barnstable This Morning. The hour-long news program airs weekdays at 7 a.m. On tomorrow's show, we will have our Business Barnstable segment. We'll talk with Finance Director Mark Milne. Plus, we'll have all the news and information you need. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Mann.